All right. We are live. We are live on Facebook and LinkedIn. Let me know. Still wait a little while for business to come on, but let me know if it is you can hear me and see me clearly. I'm gonna do my checks, right? So we're gonna get started in just a few seconds. Just checking in to make sure that we are live. Nice, 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 nice. Good. All right, great. So we are live in both places. Lovely. Thank you for the feedback. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just gonna take a couple of seconds just to check that we are live. We had some technical difficulties the very first day on Facebook, so I just wanted to make sure that we were good before we get started. All right. So welcome. This is our third session now, the third part of this National Leadership Series. So if you were here for any of the previous sessions, welcome back. Thank you for locking on and coming back and hearing it again. And if this is your very first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. So I decided to do this series a couple of weeks ago, and because I operate in the leadership space and generally in the corporate leadership space, even though I have done leadership sessions and training for leaders in NGOs, nonprofits, I mean, definitely corporate, public sector, but I really, really wanted to talk about it from persons leading in the national landscape. And for us to talk about some of the things that those leaders should be considering. And if you lead in that space, some of the things that you should be considering. We have many persons offering themselves for positions either through electoral politics or they might be promoted into a particular position that has a lot of national access, make decisions that impact the citizenry, but yet no real skill set in leading. And leadership is going to be one of the most critical skill sets needed. I've said it in the last two sessions, and I'll say it again here today. You can delegate almost anything, but you cannot delegate your leadership. And so these sessions, it's a 10-part series. We're in part three. Will be really giving information to persons who are right now in national leadership. And again, I will go it over today just to very quickly the persons who we consider to be in national leadership. And also, if you're aspiring to be in national leadership, some of the things that you need to consider before you enter that arena. It can be brutal. And many times in our society, you're going to find people shy away from it. So we have excellent persons who offer themselves. We have excellent persons reaching to some of the highest positions in our various countries. However, we do have some crazies that pass through. We do have some people who really have no business putting themselves up or even accessing positions of national leadership. People can prove themselves in technical areas, or people can talk a good talk. But when they sit in the hot seat, when they have access to resources, they have access to that vastness of authority, then you're going to see what is actually happening. And sometimes it's too late, damage is already done, or sometimes it's irreversible. All right. So I want you to take a minute, and if you can think of anyone who needs to be on this, who needs to hear what it is we're talking about, take a moment and share the live with them, share the link with them. And if they cannot be on right now, we are putting all the videos up on our YouTube channel, Safia Johnson, the Leaders Chat Room. You're going to find the previous sessions there, and this one will also be uploaded. All right. So you can share it with persons. If you are logging on after the live, make sure and put hashtag replay so I would know that you are logging on. What I've also found is sometimes persons may not put hashtag replay, but they certainly message me. They send me a DM. I appreciate that as well. Send me a DM because you may not want the world to know. All right, that's another thing with national leaders. Sometimes, they are very much in the shadows, looking at what's happening because of that national profile, because of that high profile. Everything that is done can be tracked and looked at and scrutinized. So sometimes they prefer to do things in a private setting. And so I absolutely understand and appreciate that. So send me the DMs, let me know how it has been going for you and what you're taking away from it. All right. So you guys can let me know where you're logging in from. All right, which country in particular. We always have a lot of trainees logging on. I do have some persons who are not also from Trinidad and Tobago logging on, out from the US and from some of the Caribbean islands, because what we are talking about doesn't only relate to one country. It doesn't only relate to electoral politics. Once it's a democratic society, you're going to find that these principles apply. All right, because leadership is leadership because we're dealing with human beings. So once we're dealing with human beings, the science of leadership will always be applicable. All right, so let me introduce myself. I'm Safia Johnson for those who may not know me, and I'm the founder and CEO of Safia Group. Now, Safia Group is a multidisciplinary agency, and we partner with organizational leaders and their entities really to nail their next level of success. All right, we solve big problems and we really do it drawing on the expertise of our team in the areas of accounting, financial management, HR, strategic planning, and definitely leadership development. All right, so I always put that invitation out there and make that offer. If it is you or you know your organization is right now battling with a particular challenge and you may not know how to solve it, or you may know how to solve it but you don't have the time to solve it, because that's the other thing with leadership. When persons are heading organizations, sometimes persons don't realize the vastness of their responsibility, the weight of the responsibility. And so we really come alongside the organizational leaders, the CEOs, to help them solve the problems in their organization. All right. Yes, we see Tobago tuning in. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Excellent. And I know there is a Trini on as well. All right, guys. So if it is you need to chat with me, you can always go to my website, safiajohnson.com/start here. So if it is you go to the website, Safia Johnson, let me see, spelling of my name, safiajohnson.com, start here tab. Right there, you can click and schedule an appointment with me and we can have a quick chat. All right, it's 15 minutes, absolutely free. If we can help, we definitely discuss how we can assist. If we can't, we would see who we can refer you to so you can get that help. All right. So the first two sessions, I always say, I'm not going too long, only for 30 minutes, and then I end up a full hour. But today I'm really going to try to stay within that 30-minute level, 30-minute time frame. So I just wanted to just touch on again, and I'm going to do it every session. And the reason why I'm going to do it every session, which is telling or sharing on who are the leaders at the national level. I think it's so important because many people only think of the persons who are in electoral politics. All right? The politicians, they are definitely leaders in the national space, but they are not the only leaders in the national space. And we may or may not have time in the series to go through the influence web, all right, which is a whole component that I delve into when we deal with leadership, because a big part of leadership, in fact, the base of leadership is influence. And we're going to be dealing with that specifically tonight. But there is a portion of influence called the influence web, which speaks of the different people who influence the leader or influence the persons you are seeking to influence, and understanding that web, understanding how it works, and understanding how to navigate it to help you as the leader deepen your influence, widen your influence, and certainly create a long-lasting impact in a good way. All right. So we may or may not have time in one of the later sessions to deal with the influence web, but it's something you need to think about. All right, not just the people you are seeking to influence, but you also have to think about the people who are influencing the people who you are seeking to influence. You also have to think about who is influencing your leaders. All right, so let's talk about the leaders in the national space. Generally, anyone with responsibility to serve the public in some form of fashion. All right, so you think about it, and we think about the ministries. In fact, I went to a ministry, not a ministry, the county medical office, district office today. I got there at probably 10 past 3, and I walked in to do some business, and the security said to me, "There's nobody here, and everybody left for the day. But the offices are open as if it is, they're there to serve the public. At 4 p.m., that's when they close. Got in there at 10 past 3, and there's no one." All right? This is somebody, now, whomever is in charge of that space, and you have the administrative head, you have the medical head, you have different heads. But sometimes as a society, we become so accustomed with mediocrity. We become accustomed with things that we wouldn't even want for ourselves. Because when it is we have to access national service, in one sense, we want the best service. But when we are on the flip side and we have the responsibility to serve the public, we don't give the best service. All right, so all of that we have to look at. But really, anyone who has a responsibility to serve the public in some form or fashion, especially those who head those services, the managers, the administrators, they are leaders in the national spaces. Permanent secretaries, deputy permanent secretaries, they lead in a national space because the decisions they make impact the public. You may not see them all the time in media, you may not always hear them speaking. However, they make significant decisions that have an impact on the lives and livelihood of people. Anyone with a responsibility for an area, service, or product that is of significant public interest, they are in national service, national leaders. Members of the government, we talked about that, all arms of the government, the executive branch, opposition, legislative arm, local government, they are all leaders in the national sphere, in the national landscape of any country. You have heads of public services, heads meaning it might be the chief executive, the executive team, also any boards, public services, utility, water, transport, the whole gamut of the protective services, the commissioner of police, head of defense force, chief of defense staff, all of them are leaders at the national level. Boards, CEOs, executives at state agencies or any other similar organization, all of them impact a citizenry. All right, and then you have the national voices that influence the minds of the public. We have to remember this group, media, other influencers. We have to be cognizant. We have to pay attention to who is impacting the society, who is impacting the minds of the public. And when it is you look at your society, you look at your country, and you realize it's not going down the way, it's not, it's not operating, you're not seeing things in your society that you're particularly proud of. We need to look at the persons who influence the minds of the public. We need to look at the persons who are making decisions that influence the outcome of what happens in our society. All right? Politicians, yes, but because we see them, we hear them all the time, we think they are the only ones or even the major ones. But if it is you look at the pattern, you're going to find a lot of times, especially new politicians, they come in bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, excited to do great things. They make these wonderful, lofty promises on the platforms. And then when they get into the public sector machinery and see the level of bureaucracy that they have to face to even get their ideas into some form of reality, all of that juice, all of that excitement starts to die. You're going to find conformity starting to happen. You're going to find persons get quieter. All right? Because persons sometimes don't realize behind the politicians, there's a whole piece of machinery happening in any country. And you want to pay attention to the persons who head those agencies, who head those organizations, who's making the decisions. All right, not just to the politicians who may appear noisy. Yes, you want to pay attention to them. Yes, you want to exercise your vote and make a choice, all right, for the betterment of your country, society, community, all of that. But you don't only want to focus on them. Don't get swayed by that. You want to focus on everybody. So this is just for the general public. And I'm also saying that for the leaders, if do not think that you may be heading a national service, but because the politician is in the forefront, those are the ones the media may engage, that you are thinking you're not a national leader. You are. You make decisions that impact a people, It may just be one constituency. It may just be a community, but they are part of the public. They form part of the fabric of the society. And so, yes, you are a national leader as well. And you may be thinking, you want to hide, under the radar, but you can't hide because your access, your authority, your power, your resources suggest that you cannot hide. You have to come to the front. All right. And that's the purpose of the session, to give you the skill sets, the information, the resources, the knowledge that you would need to be a stronger leader. All right. So let's jump in. Let's jump in. All right. So last week, just to touch very quickly, I would have started the discussion on influence and how to build and deepen your influence as a leader in a national landscape. If you have not yet seen the first two videos, check our YouTube channel at Safia Johnson. All right, you're going to see the videos there and some other videos chock full of some good information as a leader. Because one of the things about leadership, especially in national landscape, is that you are going to be leading, and particularly the national public. You're going to be leading the general public. Sorry. But in leading the general public, you will also be leading your own team, your own organization. And so the 10-part series that I'm doing is focusing on you making an impact and building your influence and your leadership in the national space so that you can be an exceptional leader for your society. But besides that, you will also have to lead your own team. You're also going to have to lead your internal organization. And the videos that you're going to find on YouTube will help you with that portion of it. So I want us to go a little bit deeper on influence. And I want to share today just 3 elements. There are quite a number of them. And then working with clients, when it is I do the assessment and I'm able to tell very clearly where someone may be very strong in an area, and anyone who accesses a leadership position in the national sphere, they will have strengths in some area. We may not want to admit it because they may not be the people that we support. But the truth is, no one is all bad. And they will have some elements, but sometimes they are lacking in some critical elements that really cripple their ability to lead and lead effectively, or even to get the support or even the attention of the general public or the public that they are specifically set there to serve. So today I'm going to just talk on 3 elements. If you master these 3 elements, at the very least, you will deepen unwavering influence with the general public and your specific public. All right, so let's jump in. 3 elements I'm going to deal with today, 3 A's. The first one is audience. Get to know your audience. I can't say how big this is and such a foundational element to you building influence. You cannot seek to influence somebody you don't know or you don't understand. And we have quite many leaders who seek to influence people that they think they know, but they don't really know. All right? And sometimes you may know someone based on what you know about them in time past. And you have not updated your information, your knowledge to have a clear picture of where they are now. So, in knowing your audience, which will be the people who are the target of your influence, the general public or your specific public you are set there to serve. You want to understand who they are, what makes them tick, what are their fears, what are their aspirations. You have to understand their history, and not again from a very superficial space or from a Google search. But it's important for you to take time to really get into the minds and hearts of the people that you're seeking to influence. You cannot influence somebody you just think you know. You can only truly influence somebody you actually know. All right? And when it is you're looking at a whole group of people, at the general public, it's difficult for you to get to know every single person. But as a people, there are characteristics. There is a culture. There is a level of understanding. There is a level of collective aspiration, a level of collective fears. There is a level of collective viewpoints. collective history. And that is what I'm talking about. So you might seek to speak to some persons who may represent a whole, but the truth is, in any given society, let's think about Trinidad and Tobago, the US, very plural societies, very plural. And so you cannot speak to one group of people and think that you know, or speak to one person from a group of people and think that that one person represents the entire grouping of persons. And I always encourage leaders, it is so important to speak to people who are outside of your general group where you feel comfortable. Everyone has biases, even leaders. Everyone has a socialization background, their own history, how their minds were shaped. And if you are seeking to lead the public or you are in national leadership already, some of those biases you have to drop and seek to actually get to know people. Once you understand their path, you know, the journey they took to get to where they are, you are going to get some really good insight into who they are and why they are the way they are. We have leaders seeking to lead people, they just do not understand and they do not know. And once you do that, you are setting yourself up for a fall, to have no impact, to have no influence, to have no support. One of the things you need to understand too about your audience, your people you are seeking to influence, there is a mutual problem that they have. They are mutual problems because, again, you cannot seek to solve the problem of every single person in the national community. But there are collective issues that everyone or the majority of people want solved. What are those? Especially when it comes to those matters under your purview. What are they? Learn them, understand them, where the problems came from. How can you solve them? We have persons, again, leading based on what they think they understand, but really they don't. You cannot speak to one segment of society and think you understand the whole of society. That's not how it works. You need to speak to people in the different groupings of society. All right. And then there's another layer I would always add because it is a big layer that leads to a lot of difficulties. And many leaders don't realize that this is the missing layer. They have so many other things right, but understanding the different generations. All right. And sometimes in dealing with clients, sometimes that's the only thing that is missing, that layer to add upon all the other strategies, understanding that there are multiple generations existing right now. All right, and how they approach the viewpoint of these generations, which they hold very, very strongly, impact you and what you are going to do and your level of effectiveness as a leader. And so I would have done a whole teaching, 2 lives, and then a private session on multi-generational leadership, multi-generational motivation. But I just want to touch on it very, very quickly here, just for, and I'm only going to touch on, and I'll touch on all 5, and just talk about how it impacts the leader who is seeking to create influence and deepen influence with their public. All right. So we have these Gen Zs, all right, the newest kids on the block, even though you have the Generation Alpha, which are 10 years and those persons 10 years and under. But we're talking about at least those who would have reached 18 years and older. All right, Generation Z, that's ages 11 to 26, so the Gen Zs will be in there. All right, they actually call them the side hustle generation. They're on multiple incomes. They're not about what they saw the older generations did. All right, and I'll tell you this, many times persons from the older generation, they look down on the Generation Z. They look down on this young population and assume they are lazy, assume that they're entitled just because they see things and they do things differently. All right. I'm not saying that there are not those who are entitled and those who are lazy, but it's not only from that generation. You have lazy people who are older also. All right. You have people who are entitled who are older also. You don't want to just label them. All right. And they are willing to make decisions in their best interest. All right. But they are hard workers. Once they believe it's working hard for, they're on strategy. They are working smart, not just hard. All right, they look at things from a very different perspective. So you want to understand that grouping. Then you have The generation Y, the millennials, they're from age 27 to 42. Now, this is a big chunk of society, big chunk of society. And this grouping is actually the largest portion of the workforce, but they are a big chunk of society. And this grouping, they are big on growth, big on development, big on movement. And one of the reasons why they are so disconnected from their national leaders, they find things are remaining the same. The more they look at things, is the more they remain the same. They are actually demotivated, disenchanted with no movement, stagnancy. They hate it. All right. So if it is you really want to get into the minds of your public in this generation, generation Y, the millennials, age 27 to 42, thereabout, you want to offer growth, not superficial growth, but growth that they can see, growth that they can measure, growth that they can look back on and see movement. And that's why some of them in these two lower categories, there's voter apathy when it comes to electoral politics. When they look up at sometimes the national leaders in these other spheres and they're not motivated. They're disconnected because there is no growth, there is no movement. Things move so slowly. All right. And then you have the older generations who would say, listen, you want things too fast. You call it the microwave generation and all of that. But the truth is, some things take too long. They are not wrong on that point. Sometimes they may want it too fast, perhaps. But the truth is, in many societies, some things take too long. All right. Then we get to the Generation X. Gen X, they're from age 43 to 58. We have many leaders in this age group, especially corporate leaders. All right. And they believe in hard work, grit, stability, safety, security. They are not so much opposed to things moving slowly. So if it is we seek to motivate people only based on how we are motivated, we're going to find that when persons are from different generations, there's no connection and you don't understand why. And that is what I'm saying. Sometimes you may have an excellent strategy in so many other areas and it's not connecting, it's not working. It could be because you need to add this multi-generational layer to it. Do not seek to motivate people or to connect with people or influence people simply based on how you are motivated or what moves you. You have to be cognizant of what moves them. All right. Then we're going to jump to baby boomers, age 59 to 77. A lot, a lot of national leaders are in this age group. Now, this age group is a particular group, and it's important that you understand yourself if you are in this age group, or for you to understand your distinct difference from the other age groups you are seeking to motivate. This age group are with the children of persons who fought in the war, World War II. And so the mantra at that time was a lot of survival. You had to survive. All right. And there was a lot of reformation that took place. So many of these persons, as young men and women, were involved in a lot of revolutions that we saw across humanity in different countries. And they were very heavily focused on improving the quality of lives. So many of them ended up at the forefront of national change. And many of them stayed there. They stayed there. All right. So if you are in this age group, it's important for you to take cognizance of your counterparts that are not from your age group and also the general public who will not be from your age group and what matters to them. And when they grew, what was the message at that time? All right. And how you can weave that into what you are offering to them. Very important. All right. So get to know your audience. Big one. The next one I'll jump on if you want to deepen influence with your general public, besides getting to know them. And let me just say this one thing about knowing your public. When you speak on things that connect with them, you speak on things that matter to them. When you actually do things, not just speak, speaking is one level, you do things that matter to them, they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel safe, they feel as though they matter, and then they connect with you. Even through your ups and downs, through your mistakes, through your mishaps, through your missteps, they will stick with you because you are for them. You cannot be, you if you don't understand them, you wouldn't know what to do, you wouldn't know what to say. You might even realize that what you may be saying may be offensive or really a turn off. So get to know your audience. All right. Second one, authenticity. This is a big, big one. Be authentic to build human connection. We have too many people in the national space. All they're seeking to do is to sound eloquent or to stir up some strife, which is a political strategy. But at the end of the day, are you genuine? Are you real? Can people connect with you as a human? And even if it is you are very, very successful, a person sometimes think that based on where you have been, you cannot connect with your public. Some people play down their successes, play down their achievements because they think it may cause them to disconnect from the public. You don't have to play it down. You just have to be you. Be human. All right? Be human. People trust humans. I don't know how much they trust robots, but people trust people. And you have to present yourself as trustworthy. And in order to present yourself as trustworthy, you have to be authentic. You have to be authentic. You have to be real. People have to know that you understand them and you feel them. You cannot be pristine all the time. Pristine is good. But the truth is, in life, we are not always pristine. The truth in life, we are not always at the mountaintop. The truth in life is that we will have failures at times. We're going to feel despondent at times. We feel like things are falling apart at times. Sometimes we don't know, sometimes we're confused. And I'm not saying to come up like a disheveled leader, but people want to see your humanness. People want to know that you can that you understand them, that you're not so far away and far removed. So there's this saying, you have to understand how to walk with kings and still have the common touch. That delicate balance leaders must have. Because as a leader, if it is you do not offer something that the population can aspire to, then what is the point of following you? All right? So your successes are good. But if it is you position your successes to show yourself better than the people you are seeking to influence, they will disconnect from you. All right? So you have to bring that delicate balance. Be authentic. Be real. Talk about some of your fears at times. All right? Talk about some of the things that do not only just show you in a good light. Talk about things that show that you are also part of the society, impacted by the things that impact the citizenry. If it is something bad happens in the society and all you're coming to do is just to console, and not acknowledge that you yourself was impacted by what occurred. All right? Sometimes leaders just need to be real. So people will be reminded that you are human because humans connect with humans. People connect with people. And let me just say, also when people do not leave organizations. People leave people. People do not leave organizations. People leave people. And that's the research. The research is out there. All right? I think it's as much as 72% of the people that leave an organization, the reason that they cited for leaving was the person they worked under, their immediate supervisor. People don't leave organizations, people leave people. All right, so it is so important if you want to deepen influence, if you really want to connect with the general public, whether you can get their support because you cannot do your job without public support. And that's one of the challenges that the leaders in many societies have. They do not have the support of the public, of the persons they are seeking to lead. If they feel disconnected from you, they will not follow you. All right. And the last one I'm going to talk about today, the last A. So we had know your audience, authenticity, be authentic to build human connection. The last one is your achievements. All right. And when I say achievements, I'm talking about your results, what you are able to produce. There is nothing that builds influence like results, that you are actually getting the job done, that what you promised you delivered. That is so, so important. Just to be an excellent orator, excellent speaker that can get a crowd wild up into a frenzy. And then when you're put to do the work, nothing comes out, you are going to lose influence very, very quickly. You will lose influence, you're going to lose trust, you're going to lose support, and then it's going to be an uphill battle for you. So I want to encourage leaders, no matter how bureaucratic the system may be, you have to produce results. You have to achieve things while you are in that seat. If you have the opportunity to be elected into a position, appointed into a position, you were recruited into a position, you are not just there for being there sake. You are there to get things done on behalf of, for the benefit of a people. Get it done. Get it done. You are going to find people end up supporting persons they initially did not support because that person got the job done. At the end of the day, it is important that you bring home results. After all the talk, after all the pomp and ceremony, after all of the eloquence, after all of the wonderful words, action will always speak louder, no matter how beautiful the words. So, as a leader, if you want to build and deepen your influence and really have that unwavering impact, it is super important that you produce. Find a way to produce. Find a way to produce. Do not allow yourself to conform to the bureaucratic systems that are just there to protect the resources of a society. But then if when it's so well protected that the society can't access it to get what it needs to be done. Do not just to conform to the ills that you're seeing around you. Because in any society, there are going to be ills surrounding where there's public resources. Where there is public resources, you're going to find people starting to gather, wanting access. You don't have to conform to that. You don't have to conform to that. You want to stand strong, but you want to use your resources, the access, the authority that you have to produce for your public. And if it is you produce, you want to communicate what you have produced. You want to communicate how what you have produced benefits your public. And don't twist it. Don't try to find a way you do something haphazardly and then you're trying to find a way to show how it applies. When it is you're setting your agenda of what has to get done, and remember, we're not only talking about electoral politics. We're not just talking about that type of leadership. We are, yes, but not only that. When you set the agenda of what you get done in your ministry, in your organization, in your wherever you function, that is supposed to be guided by what's in the best interest for the society. Then you share that with them. Share that with the public. Give the details and then get to work and get it done. And then come back and report. Make a habit of being accountable to your public. Whether the law makes you accountable or not, you make it a habit to be accountable to your public. To say, listen, we attempted to do this. This was our plan. This is what we set out to do. But we only got 80% there. And this is the reason why. This is how the 80% benefits us. This is why we couldn't get the 20%. But this is what we plan to do to make up for that 20%. Make it a habit of being accountable. Make it a habit of being transparent. All right? But you have to make it a habit of being productive. Make it a habit of being productive. Use your access, use your position, use your power to get things done. It's not good enough to then say, I couldn't because of a whole litany of woes. I get that. Find a way, talk to persons, form partnerships or whatever it is to get the things done that will benefit the public. There's nothing that brings influence and long-lasting influence like results. All right? So I'm going to recap. I only shared on 3. As I said, there are very many. All right, but I shared on 3 and 3 keys. In fact, without even the others, if you master these 3 keys, you are going to deepen your influence. Audience, get to know your audience, the wide range of them, not just the group who you are familiar with or you're a part of. Get to know everybody who is impacted by your decision and who comes under your purview, your audience. Second one, authenticity. Be authentic. Build that human connection. Do not just seek to be eloquent or to sound good or to always look good. That is not being human. We fall sometimes, we make mistakes sometimes, we stutter at times. I remember, I mean, this is just veering off a little bit, but I remember being made fun of for my voice, all right, because it's on the heavier side for a lady. And in school, as a teenager, at home, I would have been ridiculed for my voice. I was called so many names. And as a young lady here, you just sound like a man, you sound like a boy. And it does something to you. And every time I speak, every time I spoke, persons would always be surprised at my voice. And that caused me to not speak for quite a long time. And so, even as leaders, you're going to have your quirks. You're going to have the things that niggle at you. And not because you're in national leadership or you're in front of persons, you don't have challenges, that you don't have issues, you don't have things that play on your mind. You do, because you are human. All I'm saying is be human. Allow those quirks to show. All right? Allow yourself to just be. Okay, so I am talking. This is my voice. There's nothing I can do about it. This is who I am, and I love my voice. But I had to grow to love my voice. I didn't like it for quite a period of time, and I didn't want to speak at all. Well, this is what I do. I speak all the time. All right, and then on top of that, there were some words I struggled. I struggled to pronounce, and all of these things that just came against. All right, my confidence in speaking. But now I speak. All right. So share your story, share your journey, share your history. Allow the people to know you as a national leader. Allow the person to know your upbringing. Allow people to know the areas that you had to fight coming up, just even to make yourself available, or some of the things that you went through as a child. Just allow the people to know that human side of you. Be authentic. All right. And the last one is your achievements. All right. You have to produce the results. You're not just there for show. You have to produce something, and many times things that impact the society positively. Sometimes you may have 20 things on your list. Choose the biggest one that has the greatest impact for the society. You don't want to be a mediocre leader. You want to be an exceptional leader. And the leaders that rise through the ranks are those that are willing to take sometimes the messiest situation and deal with it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that you're not going to get backlash for it. You most likely will, because there are people who are benefiting from it remaining the way that it is. But a public didn't put you where they put you for you just to conform. So this is an encouragement to stand up and stand out. All right? So, guys, that is what I'm going to share today. I encourage you to visit our websites, safiajohnson.com, as well as safiagroup.com. There's a lot of goodies, a lot of free resources that you can explore to help you on your leadership journey, your business journey, financial journey, because we are a multidisciplinary organization. All right? So, guys, I'm getting ready to sign off, and we are going to post this video on YouTube. All right, the first two videos are there, as well as some other videos I would have done um, over the last couple of years. All right, so you can check those things out. And again, anyone who needs to make an appointment with me, just go to safiajohnson.com, schedule the appointment, and let's connect. You can delegate anything. You cannot delegate your leadership. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. And I'll say this. I know I'm closing. All right. I'm like a preacher, several closings. I'll say this. Do not squander the opportunity you have. Very few people in our society get the opportunity to lead at a national level. Very few people. If you have the opportunity to impact the minds and lives of your nation or any other nation, take it seriously. Take it seriously and make your impact. All right? Make your impact. All right, guys, I'm signing off. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and I will see you again next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time. Bye.